1989, New York. One of the largest insider trading cases was underway, and one man was charged for racketeering and securities fraud in an insider trading investigation. His name is Michael Milken. As the result of a plea bargain, he pleaded guilty to securities and reporting violations, but not to racketeering or insider trading. Milken was sentenced to 10 years in prison, fined $600 million, and permanently banned from the securities industry by the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC. His sentence was later reduced to 2 years for cooperating with testimony against his former colleagues and for good behavior. Milken was pardoned by President Donald Trump on February 18, 2020. So who is Michael Milken and what's his story? Milken was born into a middle-class Jewish family on July 4th, 1946 in Encino, California. He was a good student, active in student government, a cheerleader who was elected prom king. While still in his teens, he resolved to become a millionaire by the time he was 30. He graduated from Birmingham High School and in 1968 from the University of California, Berkeley, with B.S. with highest honors. Later, he received his MBA from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. By 1970, 2 years after graduating from Berkeley, Milken had already decided what he wanted to do. He said that unlike other crusaders from Berkeley, I have chosen Wall Street as my battleground for improving society. It is here that the government's institutions and industries are financed. Through his Wharton professors, Milken landed a summer job at Drexel Harriman Ripley, an old-line investment bank, in 1969. After completing his MBA, he joined Drexel, by then known as Drexel Firestone, as director of low-grade bond research. He was also given control of some capital and permitted to trade. Over the next 17 years, he had only 4 downlines. Drexel later merged with Burnham and Company in 1973 to form Drexel Burnham. Milken was one of the few prominent holdovers from the Drexel side of the merger and became the merged firm's head of convertibles. He persuaded his new boss, fellow Wharton student Tubby Burnham, to let him start a high-yield bond trading department, an operation that soon earned a 100% return on investment. By 1976, Milken's income at the firm, which had become Drexel Burnham Lambert, was estimated at $5 million a year. In 1978, Milken moved the high-yield bond operations to Century City in Los Angeles. By the mid-1980s, Milken's network of high-yield bonds buyers had reached a size that enabled him to raise large amounts of money quickly. This money-raising ability also facilitated the activities of leveraged buyouts, LBO firms, such as Kohlberg Kravis Roberts, and of the so-called Greenmailers. Despite his influence in the financial world during the 1980s, he was called the most powerful American financier since J.P. Morgan. Milken was an intensely private man who avoided publicity. He reportedly owned almost all photographs taken of him. Milken was under nearly constant scrutiny from the Securities and Exchange Commission from 1979 onward, due to unethical and sometimes illegal behavior in the high-yield bond department. A former Drexel employee noted that Milken viewed the securities laws, rules and regulations with a degree of contempt, feeling they hindered the free flow of trade. However, he said that while Milken condoned questionable and illegal acts by his colleagues, Milken himself personally followed the rules. Milken often tried to get as much as 5 times the maximum markup on trades that was permitted at the time. Milken's attorney said that Milken's biggest problem was that some of his most ingenious but entirely lawful maneuvers were viewed by those who initially did not understand them as evil, precisely because they were novel and often extremely profitable. The SEC inquiries never got beyond the investigation phase until 1986, when arbitrageur Ivan Boesky pleaded guilty to securities fraud as part of a larger insider trading investigation. As part of his plea, Boesky implicated Milken in several illegal transactions, including insider trading, stock manipulation, fraud, and stock parking, which is buying stocks from the benefit of another. This led to an SEC probe of Drexel, as well as a separate criminal probe by Rudy Giuliani, then United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Although both investigations were almost entirely focused on Milken's department, Milken refused to talk with Drexel, which launched its own internal investigation, except through his lawyers. It turned out that Milken's legal team believed Drexel would be forced to cooperate with the government at some point, believing that a securities firm would not survive the bad publicity of a long criminal and SEC probe. For 2 years, Drexel insisted that nothing illegal occurred, even when the SEC sued Drexel in 1988. Later that year, Giuliani began considering an indictment of Drexel under the powerful Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, known as RICO. Drexel management immediately began plea bargain talks, concluding that a financial institution could not possibly survive a RICO indictment. However, talks collapsed on November 19th, when Giuliani made several demands that Drexel found too harsh, including one that Milken leave the firm if indicted. On December 21st, 1988, Drexel entered a guilty plea to 6 counts of stock parking and stock manipulation. Drexel said it was not in a position to dispute the allegations made by the government. As part of the deal, Drexel agreed that Milken had to leave the firm if indicted. In March 1989, a federal grand jury indicted Milken on 98 counts of racketeering and fraud. The indictment accused Milken of a litany of misconduct, including insider trading, stock parking, tax evasion, and numerous instances of repayment of illicit profits. One charge was that Boesky paid Drexel $5.3 million in 1986 for Milken's share of profits from illegal trading. This payment was represented as a consulting fee to Drexel. Shortly afterward, Milken resigned from Drexel and formed his own firm, International Capital Access Group. As a part of his plea, Milken agreed to pay $200 million in fines. At the time, he agreed to a settlement with the SEC in which he paid $400 million to investors who had been hurt by his actions. He also accepted a lifetime ban from any involvement in the securities industry. In a related civil lawsuit against Drexel, he agreed to pay $500 million to Drexel's investors. Michael Milken was released from prison to a halfway house on January 4, 1993, after serving 22 months in jail for securities fraud and other crimes. His original 10-year sentence was reduced in 1992 because he cooperated, although only in a small way, with the government investigation. A month later, he was released from the halfway house to his home in Encino, California, when he remained under a home confinement program until his final release. In February 2013, the SEC announced that they were investigating whether Milken violated his lifetime ban from the securities industry. The investigation revolved around Milken allegedly providing investment advice through Guggenheim Partners. Since 2011, the SEC had been investigating Guggenheim's relationship with Milken. On February 18, 2020, Trump granted a full pardon to Milken. However, his previous trading license, which he lost following his conviction, still remained void, and he would still have to reapply and obtain a new trading license in order to return to trading securities. Milken is married to Lori Ann Heckel, whom he had dated in high school. They have 3 children. He reportedly follows a vegetarian-like diet, rich in fruits and vegetables, for its presumed health benefits, and he also co-authored a vegan cookbook. His estimated net worth, as of January 2021, is $3.8 billion. Upon his release from prison in 1993, Milken founded the Prostate Cancer Foundation for prostate cancer research, which by 2010 was the largest philanthropic source of funds for research into prostate cancer. Milken himself was diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer in the same month he was released. His cancer is currently in remission. Later in his career, Milken and his brother Lovell founded Knowledge Universe in 1996, as well as Knowledge Learning Corporation, KLC, the largest for-profit child care provider in the country. Michael Milken used to be chairman of Knowledge Universe until it was sold in 2015. So what do you think about Milken's early release and presidential pardon? Do you think that he got away with it? Comment down below and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content about business, successful people and money. See you in the next one.